All right. Hello, everyone, and welcome to another Devstream breakdown. So this is home stream number 7, and we have a good chunk of stuff to talk about today, including some concerning things. But I will say, most of it is very positive. So first of all, starting off, we have some upcoming Halloween stuff. The Halloween stuff is going to be a little bit more involved this year, it seems, with the Heart of Deimos. So for this, it is now going to be a Knights of Navarus event style deal that is going to be hosted by Daughter in the Hearts of Deimos area. So they are going to be returning Plague Star items. This includes like the pieces for the Zaws, basically. So those are going to be available for people that didn't have them. So if you wanted to make like that up here so that you can actually use Mark for Death and stuff like that, since the nerfs, you can get that. There are going to be new cosmetics here, including the Necromech Day of the Dead skin and then 2 other Weapon Day of the Dead skins. And also, there are going to be some story hooks with one of the rewards, which is called the Whispering Navarus decoration, which is basically like a weird hand doing a puppeteer that you're going to be able to interact with after you buy it and get some kind of story hook elements be told to you. Probably just a scary campfire story type thing, but that's pretty cool. So, seems to be a lot of different rewards in there, along with the Day of the Dead and stuff. There are a bunch of glyphs and other things you can get from there. Although I don't think I saw anything like Forma or anything like that. It would be hugely repeatable, but seems like it'll be a fun thing, at least just for Halloween. So that's neat. Moving on, we have UI customization stuff. So this is both customization and also accessibility options. Basically, they're going to make it so you can change the color of essentially everything involving the UI, at least all of the important things in missions. This is really, really good. I love this a lot. Not only is it accessibility, it also means that you can like kind of change the priority at your whim of different things. So if you don't give a shit about the focus thing, you can just probably make that pitch black and you'll just not even need to notice it anymore. It will be way less noticeable and you can just kind of back end that. And that's something that I can't wait to do with a few different icons that can show up that I just don't care that much about. So that's going to be really nice for customization purposes there. And also, of course, accessibility, always fantastic. So moving on, we have the Alchemist Frames name. They are going to be named Lavos. I was really hoping they were going to be named Ouroboros, but we can't have everything. Lavos seems like a solid name for them. And we're going to get more details on the Alchemist Frame next stream, they said. So neat. Now then, Deimos Arcana. So the Deimos Arcana update is going to contain quite a few things. There are going to be changes to the vaults and also additions to the vaults, including underground bounties, and a minute and 30 seconds is going to be taken off the 3-minute timer in the toxin stage of the underground. So that removes a minute and 30 seconds of waiting around doing fucking nothing from that mission, which is great. However, it would also be cool if we removed the 30 seconds that was added for no reason from the first stage, because you also sit around and do nothing during that stage. And I know mobile defense is a mission type, but it's, it's still mobile defense. I'm not going to say it's a terrible mission type, but it's down there. So there's that. A minute 30 being taken off that, though. That is going to be very nice. Also listed in here for those of you that haven't gotten, like, the 2 really, really rare mods from the first and second vaults, which includes me because I refuse to farm the on average 10-hour time that it's going to take you to get one of those mods. So 20 hours together for 2 mods that aren't very good. That's going to reduce the amount of time needed to farm those by a relatively considerable amount by removing a minute and 30 seconds off the time of those vaults. Also, we're going to have the second Necromech, which ostensibly we will get the parts for from the vaults or from the new underground bounties that are in the post-vault type stuff. And there are going to be new weapons, which is a beam pistol that has a grenade throw as its reload, which is interesting. That weapon looked like possibly good, depending on its stats, of course. And then there's a bow that whenever you fire it, it grabs enemies near it and then explodes, which seems a little slow. But hey, it's a cool, like, mechanically new thing, so that's neat. And then also, mod capacity is going to be increased, or well, Necromechs are going to go to rank 40 instead of rank 30. So that's going to be more mastery, so there's that. But also, that's going to be enough mod capacity to actually give a Necromech a full build, which is also rather important. So, and then also on here, which is a minor note, there's going to be more access to Scintillant. I think Scintillant is actually in like a relatively good place, but this might mean that they're adding more items that need it so that the increased amount of scintillate would be necessary. Regardless, making that resource easier for people to get is going to be totally fine. And then, oh yes, Isolation Vault bounties are no longer tied to Foss and Vohm, which basically means you can't be interrupted whenever you're trying to do a 3-stack. You're not like restricted by, oh, it's on 20 minutes left until Vohm. I guess we can't do a 3-stack of vaults just because it's like basically not possible to do it in that amount of time unless you're the Flash. So yeah, there's that. That's very, very good. And then the toxicity phase, as I already said, seems like good things. New lore, large subterranean area, good things with the Deimos Arcana update. Seems like it'll be a good time. I'm interested to try that new pistol to see if like it can be built in a way that's very effective. You could throw the grenade at any amount of reload level, and we'll see if the stats of that change depending on how much of the magazine you've used, etc., etc. Seems neat. Moving on, let's talk about Mastery Rank 30. So, Mastery Rank 30, we have details on what people are going to get at Mastery Rank 30, and it's confusing. So, there's going to be a daily booster / buff relay mechanic, and this one is... There needs to be a lot more detail on this, because it's either really underwhelming and like, wow, you did a lot of work for no effect, or it's really, really good. And it can only go those two ways. Because it'll either be a thing that everyone that even is MR30 forgets about immediately because it doesn't matter, or it'll be super great and people will love it. Because the two ways this can go is the examples given on buffs that you could give out were affinity and damage. And damage, obviously, no one gives a shit. Affinity, however, that's super good. Now, where do we get into the, is this terrible or is this really good? If this is like a short booster, like if this is like an hour of an affinity booster, no one cares, because this is a thing you can activate once a day. Is that like kind of nice for an MR30 if you're going to be like forming or leveling a thing? Sure, I guess. But unless this stacks with multiple MR30s, so you'd be able to build up many, many hours of affinity booster for yourself, so you just always have it running, which would be really good. And it goes to everyone in the relay, so everyone in the relay would be getting tons and tons of affinity boosters, which would be great because you get tons of time on it. You get 24 MR30s together, and they all activate the affinity booster, and it stacks up to a 24-hour booster. That's actually pretty value. People would probably really appreciate that in general. However, if it's like you get one boost per day, and it's like 1 hour affinity boosters, I don't think anyone's going to give a shit. Just like straight up, like, you as the MR30 might go in and do it, but for the most part, I think it won't matter. The only change to that is if this is another booster stack. If the MR30 boosters are in addition to purchased boosters, and also in addition to the Smita buff, and also in addition to weekend buffs, suddenly that gives us a fourth like multiplier axis on stuff. So that's actually pretty compelling, because getting 4 multipliers together, or let's say more realistically 3, is pretty great. So you have your own affinity booster, and then you activate your MR30 doubler on top of it. Now you're getting 4x affinity, and then whenever your Smita activates, you're getting 8x affinity. If there's other boosters available with this, like say resource gathering or stuff, you're going to be getting a 4x multiplier on your like resource gathering normally, and then an 8x when your Smita activates. And that's actually really, really good for farming certain resources. That'll save you a ton of time. And also would actually remove barriers on some of the things that you could feed to the Helminth, potentially, because you'd be able to gather so much more quickly. So yeah, there's potentially compelling stuff here with that, just in terms of the way it ends up actually working. It could either be really lame or fantastic. Also, we have legendary ranks, which were given basically absolutely no detail whatsoever on what that actually means, other than it's basically extra MR ranks. That's right. It's not MR, it's a legendary rank, which it's just more mastery ranks, because basically they said you're going to be working on legendary ranks whenever you get to MR30, so it's literally just more MR ranks, as far as we know at current. Other than that, there's going to be other, like some other miscellaneous stuff, some of which is really, really nice. The 15 extra loadout slots, I'm a huge fan of personally. 3 Umbral Forma, not bad, a fan. Riven slots, I'm sure some people will enjoy that. And like some chat emotes, and having an emote all its own as well, like that's fine. Like that stuff's cool. Hopefully the emote is really neat. But yeah, reasonable stuff for MR30, nothing mind-blowing, nothing earth-shattering. I hope the legendary ranks are more interesting. Like, it would be cool, I don't expect this, it'd be cool if they were challenge-based and not just level more weapons, please, because we've been doing that all the way to MR30, but it is what it is. And, you know, this is probably more than a lot of people expected us to get, especially the 15 loadout slots, which is probably the sweetest part of this whole thing for people that use a lot of Warframes. And if you're MR30, chances are you use a lot of Warframes. Okay, moving on, let's talk about the Warframe Revisited 4. So there have been 3 Warframe Revisiteds this year. There's Railjack and like status and a bunch of other things that got addressed. And it looks like they want to do a smaller Revisited where they go over kind of a variety of things with status and stuff. But as stated here in my notes, I have just put, wow, this clip sure does give me hope. And there's a good reason for that. So I'm going to throw the clip in here and then we'll talk about it.
Definitely have another bundled up revision of things that need to be addressed with the game. I think there's some damage stuff still lurking in there. There's some status stuff that needs to be addressed. There's some abusive strategies with the Warframe powers and power sets. I actually just got a document open up from the community team, which they're compiling a list of Warframe Revisited late 2020. So I'm kind of have a look over it. So I think we're going to do kind of the same idea, you know, try to pile up a bunch of fixes and changes and buffs to things and put it all together again.
Awesome. So that's something that we definitely want to focus on before year end. So we will.
I know you wanted to point out very specific things, but I don't like doing that.
I think that's fine. I think it's the headspace we're in for this. I think the community should just know that we are looking at doing basically a 4th part to Warframe Revised. So as you can see in the screenshot here, if you take a look at what we've already done and what will follow will be structured similarly. We'll write it out for everyone just to get a look at, and we'll talk about what we're changing and why once we have that information. But I just wanted to let the community know that we are going to be approaching something like this.
Yes.
So
please send in your YouTube videos of all the most abusive strategies,
or the most or abilities that do nothing when you press them. Underpowered.
That's also helpful.
This is very good, and we already have a list of those, so don't worry. But we are.
Welcome back. Doesn't that just give you hope? Doesn't it just give you hope that instead of talking about the plethora of underperforming Warframes that are absolutely fucking useless at this point, like Frost, we've talked about abusive strategies? Like, let's be real. It just doesn't sound great, right? Like, I mean, they say the word buffs and all this stuff all the time, but like they just don't happen. And it's really demoralizing at this point that I don't believe it anymore. Like, buffs, it gets said, like addressing status gets said, and the place where I'm at is that like whenever they say we're going to like address some status stuff, it's not that cold needs to be buffed or that electric could be way better and should be way better. Or that magnetic should still probably be much better than it is. It's probably, to me, like my first go-to is, oh, viral and heat are the statuses that actually perform and matter, so those are going to get nerfed. That's where I'm at. And also with like abusive strategies, to me, it just says, oh, all the Warframes that I like to use, I might not like to use them anymore because they might just get absolutely dumpstered, just slam dunk right into the trash can. And that would really blow. Turns out that would really suck. Like if you just took a bunch of things that people like and then nerfed them and then did buffs like the buff in quotation marks to Trinity and the buff in quotation marks to Zephyr, like it just really kills my interest in experimenting with things and like making builds that are fun because they just fucking disappear. I know that's like really morbid, but that's literally where we've been. Every time the community finds a cool thing that we like, it just gets nuked from orbit, which sucks. And it's not like there haven't been things that deserve a nerf in the past. Like we had like Clap Limbo on release that got nerfed, and everyone was like, "Oh, absolutely, that was clearing the entire map and without even seeing any enemies and like a 90-meter radius or whatever." Like it was absolutely crazy to have scaling percentile damage at that absurd range without having to aim or do anything important. and like map blind Mirage back in the day, where it would blind every enemy in a gigantic radius through the whole map. But like where it stands right now, there's no Warframes in this game that I would consider to be like OP or out of line. So if we're just gonna get like 2 buffs that don't matter for 6 nerfs that fucking suck, like we did with the helmet system, that's just really, really dire and unfortunate. I hope it doesn't turn out that way. I would love to be wrong. I would love to see them revisit Frost and make Frost a good Warframe instead of one that's aging like spoiled milk. That'd be fantastic. I would love to be proven wrong. That'd be my literal favorite thing. But I just, unfortunately, feel like I'm going to be right about this one, and I'll just be sad. But let's talk about some positive things with the Deluxes and Primes. So there is a community concept that is now official, which is the Deluxe Mirage skin. This is cool, in line with Mirage's theme of being a Harlequin and stuff. Really, really neat. Probably going to look fantastic in-game. I think this concept will translate very, very well to an in-game skin. Seems fantastic. In addition to that, as we all know, Nezha is the next Prime. We've known this for a while, even before the leaks. Pretty much anyone can figure out, due to the patterning of how the Primes come out, that it was Nezha. I will say that I think Nezha looks very cool, so that's good. Lots of people like Nezha. Nezha's a very good Warframe. Better hope he doesn't get nerfed in the Warframe Revisited, I guess. Moving on, we have some Corpus Lich details. Basically, the Corpus Liches are going to be lady lawyers that use technology to do the Lich mechanics, and they're going to have robots. They're going to be tied in to Parvos Granum, which is cool because that character is great, along with Railjack and the Third Orb being briefly mentioned as also being tied in with Parvos Granum. Does that mean that we're going to get the Third Orb? Maybe. Does that mean that Railjack Corpus is going to come out? More likely than the Third Orb, I think. Also, final note here, Archwing missions in general. And what I mean by Archwing missions is just the generic Archwing only missions. Those missions, basically, for lack of a better term, are going to be killed. They, like, literally, like, new equivalent of, like, just saying that, literally the devs saying, like, just kill them. Straight out. Is that the appropriate response? Yes, 100%. Absolutely. The devs are absolutely, fully, completely in the right train of thought, I think, with this, with removing the baseline Archwing missions. And the reason for that is because those Archwing missions are either like annoying, broken, or not fun. Like, that's the whole thing. Only one of those missions, which is Salacia on Neptune, has ever been used for anything important, which was just for leveling. So as long as all of the mods and resources and stuff and all the things you could maybe potentially farm from those missions get spread out to other places where they're like maybe even easier to access, or at least less annoying to access, that's going to be great just to remove all those missions. It's going to make clearing the star chart much more enjoyable for a lot of people. So Railjack is going to be changed to be the primary place you're going to be using Archwing, the primary Archwing content, outside of course open worlds just flying around from place to place. Overall, I think that this dev stream has a ton of good stuff in it. The Knights of Nabarus stuff seems great. The new Deimos Arcana update seems like it has a lot of positives to it, and I can't wait to try the new weapons. They actually seem like interesting weapons like we got with the Sepulchrum and stuff. The UI customization seems fantastic. MR30 stuff seems potentially underwhelming, but I hope it's the overwhelming version that I described. And Warframe Revisited worries me immensely because of DE's current track record of just nerfing things because players are using them or like them. That's really what it feels like. They literally asked for people to send them videos of things that are good, and then goodbye. That's like basically what was happening there, and wow, that's disappointing. So yeah, lots of positive here, but with the huge, looming, overwhelming negative that could potentially be Warframe Revisited, it makes it hard to be excited about this home stream, like fully honestly. That being said, hope you guys have enjoyed this video, and hopefully you guys maybe have a little bit of a brighter outlook than me, but I'm just trying to be realistic here, and I will see you tomorrow. Goodbye, everybody.